The British International School of Houston is an international and diverse private school with top academic results in a state-of-the-art 32-acre campus. From PK3 through 12th grade, students build pathways to the world's best universities through excellent results in internationally recognized qualifications. Guiding them are teachers who are global talents. Interested in learning more about the British International School of Houston? Search BIS Houston online and get in touch with their admissions team. And you can also join them for their upcoming open house by registering online. I am so grateful for my daughter's teachers. And if you love teachers like I do, here's your chance to show it. Nominate an incredible Houston area public school teacher for a free weekend retreat at the Holdsworth Center on Lake Austin. It's a one-of-a-kind experience designed to help teachers unplug, recharge, and feel appreciated. It only takes 2 minutes to nominate, but it could mean the world to a teacher. Nominations close August 29th, so go right now to teacherretreat.org to nominate someone today. That's teacherretreat.org. Y'all, Main Street is popping right now in downtown Houston. The stage is getting set for the World Cup, and there are big, bold improvements being made, especially on Main Street. The sidewalks are getting more shade and more space and more of what you love. So during this time, let's go support our Houston-owned small businesses on Main Street. From morning coffee runs and happy hour hangouts to late night vibes, these local gems are powering through construction to keep the city buzzing. So grab your crew and meet me on Main Street because an exciting transformation is underway and we are rallying to support our downtown businesses. Today on CityCast Houston, is the county going to give Elon Musk a project for his tunnel company? Plus, HISD teachers are facing off with Mike Miles in court. I'm breaking down those stories and more with political insider Rafael Lemaitre. It's Friday, August 29th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Rafael, here we go. Labor Day is coming up, and we have a lot of stories to talk about. I'm excited that you are on with us. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm excited to be here too, although the week before Labor Day always feels like a long slog.
It does. But we've made it. It's Friday, and I want to start things off by talking about this because I didn't know that Harris County is currently working and researching a project that will put a network of big tunnels underneath our region pretty much, which would help with flooding. Now, this was an idea and project that was thought of after Hurricane Harvey. Of course, it devastated our city with flooding. And the only reason I learned about this project, Rafael, was because ProPublica's latest investigation by Lauren McGaughy and Yi-Lun Cheng on Representative Wesley Hunt and how he is working with Elon Musk's company, the Boring Company, to help with a stretch of these tunnels near Buffalo Bayou. So why is this important? Well, because the tunnels that they are proposing are way too small and might not help with the flooding disaster if we ever are in that. Yet, here is Representative Wesley Hunt pushing for it. Did you see this?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy idea, and it's kind of a pie in the sky kind of moonshot idea that a lot of people have been bouncing around for a long time in Houston, building these huge tunnels to move these waters into the bayous. But it's never really moved to a phase where it could actually happen.
Now, my understanding is that the project that is being researched, they would put these huge tunnels, like big enough to move container ships through, okay? And here comes the Boring Company, and again, that is Elon Musk's company, which has put transportation tunnels, the biggest one in Vegas, that's gotten all the headlines. They are working on one in Nashville right now. This would be their first flood infrastructure tunnel. So they would get a contract that is about $760 million. And by the way, the overall project, if ever approved, again, this is all still being studied and kind of figured out right now. That whole project would cost $30 billion and it would take about 15 years to build. And this is important, Rafael, because Representative Hunt is really pushing to get Elon Musk on board and get this done with the Boring Company. And this could be a huge political win for him, especially if he announces that he is running against Senator John Cornyn for his seat in 2026.
Yeah, and that's what makes this so messy and complicated is that you have a billionaire who can stand to profit off of a project that we don't know if it'll work or not. And certainly, we know the influence he has in Washington and in Austin with state legislators. Look, $30 billion is a lot of money. We passed a flood bond here, which was only, $2.5 billion, just a fraction of that. Imagine what we could do with $30 billion developing communities that were safer from flooding, elevated homes, better building codes, subsidized flood insurance. I personally feel like it's great. Let's look at all options. Let's study them to see if they can work. But at the end of the day, $30 billion, I think it'd be probably better spent finding alternative ways that can actually protect us from flooding faster.
So this Buffalo Bayou stretch that the Boring Company would work on, one thing that really stood out from the ProPublica investigation was that if they got this contract, right, like let's say all things worked out and Representative Hunt, who is working with some of the commissioners, trying to get this contract done and get this partnership done, even if it was passed, the Boring Company, their tunnels wouldn't be deep enough and could actually impact key services, cables, lines, water infrastructure. There's just so much at play. So it could create a lot more problems. Yet this would be a big win for somebody who is trying to get a big win on his resume before announcing a run for the Senate. And this is the frustrating part of government and politics. It's like, do this thing correctly. Don't worry about you and your big win for your announcement, potentially. We don't know yet. Do this correctly, because this is a project that, if approved, could change Houston forever. And it could make it a much safer place to live in a flooding disaster. Yet, if we give this contract as a county to somebody that maybe they're not situated to handle, you're going to be stuck with a bigger problem in a disaster. And that's so frustrating.
And, what's interesting politically about all of this is that usually the folks who are reluctant to invest in, kind of unproven infrastructure are Republicans. These are folks who don't like light rail. They are a lot of times opposed to the high-speed rail project between Houston and Dallas. They don't know if there's a market for it, on and on. But now all of a sudden, Elon Musk, kind of the godfather now of Republican politics and a big funder of campaigns, wants to do this. So in this case, well, maybe it's okay for them. And I think it's a little hypocritical. But again, if it works, it could be part of a solution. Again, the funding is a huge piece of this. It's the problem. And I just wonder if, these state and local leaders can find alternative solutions that have been proven and that we know that work.
Yeah. Something stood out there. Is he still beloved in the Republican Party, Elon Musk? He had that big falling out with President Donald Trump. Elon Musk was teasing an independent party, which, look, that would be phenomenal. That would be outstanding if there's this big push for another party or an independent party that could challenge the established Republican Democrat base, all that stuff, right? That'd be great. But is he still beloved, do you think?
It's a good question. I think that the Republican Party want his money. They know that he's been spending a lot of money quietly, even here in Texas, in the last judicial races here. He contributed, several $1 million to take on Democratic judges. He was very visible about taking on District Attorney Jose Garza in Austin. And so I think he's still seen here, at least in Texas, as on the Republican side of things, even when he gets in these spats every now and then with the president, which always kind of seem to blow over a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I guess money solves all the problems, right? And
Always.
Any issues that you have publicly. So
Yeah.
Definitely one story that we're going to be watching out for. Really interesting story and investigative piece by ProPublica. So please check it out. It is linked in our show notes. It is a long read, but it is a very interesting read, just kind of showing you what is at play with this potential project.
Yeah, speaking of money, the budget battle continues in Harris County Commissioner's Court. It's been a nasty fight for a little bit. Folks have probably seen some of the headlines. There's been a very controversial pay raise given to the constables that it was out of the regular budget process. Then the actual elected constables themselves came back and asked for pay raises so that they can have parity with their own officers that received a pay raise. And, the interesting thing about this whole budget battle here is that you've seen Democrats fighting with each other. And the outcome has been a dream for Republicans, I think, because they have been working for a very long time. We talk about redistricting and how that can rig the system through gerrymandering. They've been working for years to find ways to strangle big cities in Texas and remove their ability to raise revenue. And so it's kind of forced this interesting dynamic where, now Democrats are fighting with each other. A couple of them are up for re-election. So I think they feel a need to kind of avoid, talking about tax increases, obviously supporting public safety, which is a huge and important priority. So it's been a very interesting battle. And I hope that it comes to a conclusion that the residents of this county can find tolerable.
Yeah, September 9th is when the budget is going to be officially voted on in Commissioner's Court. And here's where I'm confused. Help me out with this, okay? Because I've heard Judge Hidalgo talk about how there is a $220 million deficit that the county will face in this budget. But then I've heard multiple commissioners say that it's actually $50 million. How are the numbers that off with people who should know? I'm so confused by this.
It's the whole budget process has always been super confusing. When I worked for the county, I had to learn about things called like the voter approval rate and the no new revenue rate and debt servicing and all these like really boring things that factor into things. The truth is they're kind of both right. Lena Hidalgo, she's talking about the huge amount of money that had to be set aside now for these raises. The other commissioners, what they're talking about is, well, look, there's still things we can do to move money around in the county. For instance, these new initiatives that maybe we can put off for a few months, and then that would provide additional offsets there. Potentially maybe even delaying or splitting up the raises for the constables instead of just giving it to them all at once, giving it to them over, 2 or 3 years. And so that's where the disagreements are. The devil's always in the details, as they say. But for me, it's been fascinating because the Republican legislature has passed several laws that have really, really restricted the ability for members of court to have power. So if you raise revenue over a certain amount, you're forced to go to the voters. And that's on purpose, that they know that tax increases are unpopular. And so it's a way to kind of stop raising revenue to get rid of gaps like that. They've now made it illegal to, quote, defund law enforcement. So anytime you give a raise or you give additional money to law enforcement, that's money that you will never be able to get back. It's done. It's locked in forever. And even rules like, how you do quorum. We saw a few years ago, it was very highly publicized. The Republicans, even though they were in the minority of court, there were only 2 of them at the time, that they could just not show up. And the county budget would then default to the no new revenue rate, which is basically, the same amount they were making last time. So
Gotcha.
It's been strangled and it's been an interesting political process.
The last thing I want to talk about this, with all of the details and everything playing out, I've also seen conflicting reports about what services will be cut for residents of the county. And again, look, it's not just Houston, right? Like places like Deer Park are part of the county. So what do you think will happen with the services?
Well, the truth is Harris County does a lot with the social safety net. They run the hospitals. They run Harris Health. They run things at the public health department that, don't get a lot of attention, but things like mosquito control, things preventing, West Nile virus, providing mental health treatment for indigent people, providing housing for homeless residents. And, we know that there's a crackdown right now on the homeless population. Where are they going to go? And so these are folks that usually don't have a lot of voice or impact in the political system. That's where the cuts are going to go because, law enforcement's protected legally. You can't touch that. And so the cuts have to come from someplace. Now, the hope, I think, among some of, Garcia and Leslie Briones is, maybe you can find ways to maybe not fill vacant positions in the county. So, there's some efficiencies you can find there. Maybe there's some, things you can do with contracts within the county that, maybe you can delay or shrink. Commissioner Briones the other day, she mentioned, a lot of people, the county's paying for landlines that, a lot of employees aren't using. So maybe you can make some adjustments there. But $200 million or $50 million. That's a lot of money. I don't know if you could save that with just cutting landlines.
They're not that expensive, right? So this is
Right.
going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the upcoming week or so, because again, September 9th is when they need to figure this out and give us the numbers and give us exactly what is happening. So we'll be watching this one as well. When we get back, we are heading to court because HISD teachers are not happy with what Mike Miles is doing with their raises. Owning rental property in Houston isn't simple. Between finding tenants, keeping up with lease paperwork, rent collection, and staying on top of accounting, there's always something to manage. Whether it's a townhome in Montrose or a house in the Heights, Turbo Tenant makes it easy to manage your rental property. It's a free all-in-one platform built for independent landlords. So you can market your listing, screen tenants, sign leases, collect rent, and even keep your accounting in check all in one platform. And yes, Turbo Tenant keeps up with Texas rental laws, so your leases and documents are always legally compliant. More than 800,000 landlords nationwide trust Turbo Tenant, and it's earned a 4.8-star rating from over 15,000 reviews by landlords and tenants alike. One landlord using Turbo Tenant even saved $500 in accountant fees because the bookkeeping was so streamlined. So if you're a Houston landlord, stop juggling spreadsheets, group text, and payment apps. Get everything you need in one place. Sign up for free today at turbotenant.com. That's turbotenant.com, your smarter way to manage rentals in Houston.
CityCast is brought to you by Wise, the app for international people using money around the globe. With Wise, you can send, spend, and receive up to 40 currencies with only a few simple taps, and save up to 55% compared to major banks. Plus, Wise won't add hidden fees to your transfer. Whether you're buying souvenirs with pesos in Puerto Vallarta or sending euros to tip your Coliseum tour guide, you know you're getting a fair exchange rate with no extra markups. That's what makes Wise the fast, affordable way to use your money around the globe. Wise offers 24/7 live support and runs over 7 million daily checks to catch and prevent fraud, so you know your money is where it's supposed to be. Be smart. Join the 15 million customers who choose Wise. Download the Wise app today or visit wise.com. Learn more by visiting wise.com/US/compare. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, Rafael, earlier this month when we had Superintendent Mike Miles, who was again appointed by the state in the state takeover, he talked about this pay for performance raise model that he was very proud of. It was implemented in the Dallas school system as well, and it hasn't been taken out. And basically, it's that teachers will be given money for raises based on their performance, and there's several factors that go into it. He was very proud of it, but he is now in court because the Houston Federation of Teachers is suing HISD over this model, and here's why. So earlier this summer, the state legislature approved raises for teachers in HB 2. That bill says teachers can get up to $5,000 based on the size of the district, and also they've got to have at least 5 years of service. So it is based more on how long you have been with a district. And they want this money, like teachers with 5 years of service. They basically allocated their own personal budget for this raise that should be coming down the pike, and it is not, because Mike Miles is arguing that, no, we are going to do it based on performance. And now here we are, they are in court. This is going to be so interesting to see how this plays out and if it holds up, because Mike Miles is not backing down.
Yeah, and it's going to be an expensive battle that taxpayers are ultimately going to have to bear the cost on, unfortunately. Look, I mean, HFT has a really good point. There's always improvements you could be made with teacher pay. But the reason this has been so contentious is because the teachers, the parents, the families, they feel like all of these changes are being done to them instead of with them. And, they don't have an elected board anymore that can represent them anymore. And so it's just unfortunate that, of course, every institution, schools, there's room for improvement. There's room to recruit better teachers and keep teachers longer and pay them better. But the process in which it's happening is just unfortunate because it's kind of just leaving the kids aside and turning into these pitched legal and political battles that I just don't want to happen. I don't think anybody want to happen.
Yeah. Bianca Seward of HPM, Houston Public Media, had this big story. She talked to several teachers, and one teacher who did great in the performance model and has been with the district for a while. She basically said that, like, I need this money. I've allocated it for my budget, and this is a big blow to what I need to survive, right? Because teachers aren't getting that many raises. We've talked about this before. There was also another teacher that Bianca spoke to, and this teacher basically said that I've been working with HISD for 18 years, and she only received a $750 raise.
That's wild.
That's a slap to the face. Like, that's wild, right? Like, come on, there has to be more there, especially since the state approved these raises.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you have to remember, these teachers, they don't make a lot of money in the first place. It's a way to contribute to the community in ways that I think should be more recognized and better rewarded. These folks grow so attached to students and families. I mean, how many people still miss and love their fifth grade teacher, sixth grade teacher? They made a huge impact on their lives. They're not making a lot of money. They deserve to be compensated at some point for that tenure.
And one last quote, Mike Miles, of course, not backing down, as I mentioned earlier. Here's his quote, okay? And he said, I don't listen to the voices that are part of the problem. It's about to get really heated in court. It's about to get heated.
Yeah, that's too bad. Another thing that's about to get heated is the race for Congressional District 9. The redistricting process is well underway, and the candidates are already jumping into the fray. Just for folks who aren't familiar, that's Al Green's old district, basically unrecognizable, doesn't look or even cover much of Al Green's former district anymore. It stretches from East Harris County all the way to Liberty County. And this week, Alex Mueller, who you all have maybe seen on TV in the past few years, running for Harris County judge unsuccessfully against Lena Hidalgo, announced that she's jumping into the race and joining Briscoe Cain, who's a current Texas representative from eastern Harris County, into those eastern counties as well. So it'll be an interesting race to watch.
Yeah, it is interesting, Rafael, because of the names that are mentioned, but I am still so interested in the fact that there are multiple lawsuits now with this new congressional map that the state has passed, right? In the second special session, there's going to be a lot of legal battles. The maps from 2021 are still tied up in courts right now. So help me understand this. What happens in terms of them running in the midterms and the maps are still tied up in court? Like, is that new District 9 recognized officially as of now, or is it not because it's tied up legally? I'm so confused by all of this.
I think a lot of people are confused, and it's impossible to predict the future, aside from knowing that, yes, there are going to be legal challenges. We've essentially gone from, having two African-American congressional districts and one mostly Hispanic district. That Hispanic district has kind of disappeared. So with the new redistricting, it's going to be two African-American congressional districts. It'll be hard to tell. I think it's going to be tough for Democrats to prevail at the end of the day. The process is moving forward. Candidates are lining up. Alex Mueller already announced she's raised $250,000 and has been making the rounds. This went from a plus roughly 10 double-digit Biden congressional district to roughly a plus 18 Trump district. So let's say even Democrats have a great midterm year and there's a huge blue wave. I think that this district was drawn in such a way that, to protect against that possibility. So it's going to be tough, I think, for Democrats to prevail in the courts, given how long it takes and the makeup of the courts. But I guess you never know.
Yeah. And to add one more layer of confusion to all of this, the current Representative Al Green, who has been there as long as I've been alive, it seems like, but I'm exaggerating. It's been a really long time, though. He is not going to be running for this new District 9. He's officially said he's not. So there's a chance that he could run for the 18th, which is, of course, left vacant after former Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner passed away while serving in Congress. And Governor Abbott said that we're not going to fill that seat until November when we have the elections. And there's a special election now. Christian Menefee has announced that he's running. Amanda Edwards has announced that she is running as well. So will Representative Al Green make a run for the 18th? And before you answer that, this is where I'm getting confused. All right. So let's say he is going to run, but then the courts say that, no, this map doesn't hold up. Then what happens to the District 9? Is it the person who wins that seat in the midterms, or would it go back to Representative Al Green?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. That's a good question.
See,
Yeah,
I'm so confused by this.
It's so confusing. Yeah, and making matters worse, all these candidates who have announced in Congressional District 18, they didn't know this redistricting stuff was going to happen. And so it's going to really, mess up the race and provide a whole different dynamic for those candidates that are running. So we'll see what happens. I think for whatever it's worth, my prediction in 9 will be that Alex Mueller ends up prevailing in that primary because she's kind of locked down a lot of conservative radio influencers, in addition to having money and now some name recognition from her previous race. But I could be wrong. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then in the 18th, what do you think happens there if Representative Al Green announces that he will be running in the special election in November?
That's a good question because there's a lot of really actually good, strong candidates running for that seat. Al Green, obviously long time representative of this area, huge name recognition, but 18 wasn't his district. So we don't know what'll happen there. Christian Menefee's raised a lot of money. He seems to be continuing to poll well, and he just got another raft of endorsements just a week or two ago. And Amanda Edwards, I would not count her out at all either. I mean, she's got strong polling numbers right now. And so it's really anybody's game at this point.
All right, we'll be keeping our eye on this one and see how this one plays out. This is going to get really, really interesting here in the upcoming few months. Okay, when we get back, our moments of joy, including much needed love from my beloved Galveston. Ready to have some fun this summer? Well, downtown Houston is where you need to head because they're jam-packed with cool events every day. You know I love a good workout, and downtown Houston has so many free fitness classes. Plus, they have brand new dance classes at Market Square Park featuring merengue, bachata, and salsa. Just want to relax? How about some live music or their awesome movies under the stars? And you can't forget about their summer trivia nights at Trebley Park. There's something for everyone. So grab the kids, the dog, your date, or just yourself and enjoy your summer in Houston's original neighborhood. Here's one last tip. Blanket Bingo is back this month, but act fast because tickets do sell out. Find the full list of events at downtownhouston.org or text downtown to 56512 for all the fun at your fingertips. Downtown Houston. Get energized and revived. All right, Rafael, it's Friday, so that means we are ending the week on a high note. Give me your moment of joy.
Raheel, this is so cool. I had no idea this existed, but last week I went to a place called the Houston Furniture Bank. It's in Southeast Houston, and it's this great charitable organization that takes gently used mattresses and furniture, refurbishes them, and then donates it back to families in need. You can also go there and buy furniture. And when I say furniture, I'm not talking about like that cheap IKEA stuff that, we all grew up on and used after college, like really nice stuff and like well-priced stuff. And another kind of benefit to this furniture bank is that they help prevent illegal dumping. You often have seen, folks just dumping furniture and mattresses around town. So they're making a concerted effort to try to avoid that. They told me that about 750,000 mattresses are disposed of in Harris County every year. And they do a great job of fixing those up and giving it to people in need. So I'd love anybody to go and check them out. It's a great place to visit.
750,000 mattresses are disposed in Harris County, and about 200,000 of them end up on the side of the roads, it seems like.
Yeah, easily. No question.
Yeah, but you see it all the time, that illegal dumping. It has been one of the sticky frustration points for residents, but that's awesome that the Houston Furniture Bank is saying, come drop them off here, right? And we will take care of it. We are going to fix them up and we will get it to families that need it. I love this, especially in a time right now when so many people are struggling. We got to help out and donate your furniture and let them renovate it and take care of it. I love this moment of joy. This is great.
And it's HoustonFurnitureBank.org is their URL, so you can find them there.
That is perfect. Okay, my moment of joy, Rafael, is that it's Labor Day. That means Families are going to be heading out to Galveston for one last time before the summer is officially / unofficially ending. And shout out to my beloved Galveston because they have been getting some positive press. It's that time of year where that big blue wave of water / green water makes its way to Galveston, and it looks amazing. It's one of the most beautiful times of the year. Now, it's because of the way that the tides and the waves and the way the water comes in, all of that. It's the perfect alignment of great clear water. And I have seen so many Instagram videos. You were actually out there during this big wave, right?
Yeah, it was really cool. I was there last weekend. I fell asleep on a chair on the beach, and my son was out there fishing, and you got to see some fish near the surface. It was really cool. And if it's still going on, I don't know if it is. I encourage anybody else to go.
Yeah, it looks like it's still going to be pretty blue and green. The water is clear. So go on out there, enjoy Galveston. I know we have some rain in the forecast throughout the long weekend, but if you can get out there, enjoy it. It's one of the cool times of the year when that water looks beautiful and people can stop making fun of Galveston, all right? Because Galveston is awesome. We have a beach about an hour away from us. So stop with all the complaining, people. Shout out to Galveston.
Yeah, take pictures and make sure you send them to Charles Barkley so you can see how nice it looks out.
Yeah. Exactly. Charles Barkley, known hater of Galveston. Oh, come on. Put some respect on Galveston's name. Rafael, thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your long weekend.
Thanks. You too, Raheel.
That was political insider Rafael Lemaitre. All of the stories we discussed are linked in our show notes. If you haven't yet this week, share this episode with 3 of your friends who live in Harris County. Also, rate and review the podcast wherever you're listening right now. And please subscribe to CityCast Houston if you haven't yet. For more H-Town news, events for the weekend, and so much more, check out our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, at houston.citycast.fm. You can also learn about the CityCast Houston Neighbors membership program there as well. Thanks. That will do it for this week here on CityCast Houston. Our producers this week were Francisco Kilgore, Zoe Colkin, Natalie Rivera, Elizabeth Kama, and of course, Carleon Jones. Our newsletter editors this week were Adrian Gonzalez and Brooke Lewis. Our executive producer is Laura Isensee, and I'm your host, Raheel Ramzanali. Our music is by the band All the Kimonos, with additional music courtesy of Brent Lilly and 8 Main from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. We're off Monday for Labor Day, but we'll be back on Tuesday with your guide to September in H-Town. Thank you for listening and enjoy the long weekend. It's Friday, August 29th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. I am not Raheel Ramzanali because I had to clear my throat. That was not good. There's your blooper. All right.